How about this too? Here's my email, and you can reach on out to me directly. How about that? All right, bud? Fair enough. Deborah, thank you. Sound is good. Thank you, Jerry. Good to see you as well. Give me 1 second. Let me stand this desk up. Ugh. I only like to sit down for a little bit at a time. I'm not a big sit down person, but let's get this thing rolling here today. We only have I do have to leave today on time, unfortunately, so we'll be wrapping up about 8 o'clock. I'm speaking at another event here tonight. So I have to head out, exercise with office equipment. There you go. There you go. Chris, I've been on a standing desk since like 2019, and it has been the greatest thing I've ever done. It helps me focus. I feel more in it when I'm trading as well. So I generally stand, I don't know, 12, 15 hours of my day. And mixing some sitting here and there, but I even stand when I eat too. It's to my wife's chagrin sometimes. But let's get things started. First and foremost, I'm not a commodity trading advisor. Well, I'm not acting in my capacity as a commodity trading advisor. I'm simply here to show you opportunity. What you do with that opportunity is all up to you, as well as you got to be aware of any and all risk, understand that risk, be willing to accept that risk and take on that risk. And anything covered in today's presentation, if you decide to take any of the trades, just know that those are of and on your own volition. We're going to skip that slide. A couple of housekeeping items, Discord, and we are not going to be having a session on December the 21st. I will be in New York City. Here is my create an invite, copy. Someone said no volume. Let's see. Check your computer. It is. Hear me. Okay. Oh, Rodney jumped out and he's jumping back in, it looks like. Okay, good. All right, perfect. So, all right, he says hear me. Everybody else says hear me loud and clear. So, that link, right? That's a really good idea, Jerry. But could you imagine? Jerry just said, "Hey, get one of those vibration plates, and then I'll be exercising all manner of muscles. Just standing is not as good." I love it. I love it, Jerry. The funny thing about that, I was just thinking, is like, imagine me doing a webinar on one of those plates and just, hello, guys, the entire day. That's a good one. I like that. But look, guys, this is my Discord channel that we have. I say mine. It's y'all's. It's not really mine. It's your guys's, right? We have individuals that post things about trading. We have people who share the trades that they're taking. We have various, all of the stocks and things like that, earnings and things like that being shared here, right? That's what we do, right? We share information. um we share information, we share opportunity, and we look at this opportunity and people learning from other people. I love it, right? This is what I think is one of the things that's missing, is that you guys being able to connect with other traders and learn from other traders, because maybe somebody's doing something that's really good for you, or that would be really good for you, but you need to learn it from somebody else, right? Or they figured something out that you haven't. So I sent you all that Discord link. I'll send it again. This link, guys, is only good for 7 days at a time. Okay. It's only good for 7 days at a time. So just make sure that if you're going to join, go ahead and join. Again, the other thing, no session on the 21st as well. No session on the 21st as well. And let me get my. Okay, there we go. Now we have fundamental announcements for this week. We have on December the 10th, we have FOMC making their announcement. We'll check in, and you know what? Let me go ahead and pull that up right now on the probability of a rate cut. And then we also have CPI data coming out on the 10th as well, which is Consumer Price Index data, right? That is a measure of inflation. It's not the Federal Reserve's preferred method of measure of inflation. No, Jerry, the link, so the Discord is good forever. But the link to like join it, if you don't click it and join it within 7 days, it makes me send a new link every 7 days. So that's all it is. It's not like the Discord is only good for 7 days. No, the link is what's dies after 7 days. It's this message will self-destruct in 7 days, basically. Then on 12/11, we have PMI. Oh, wait, do we have? Yes, it's PMI. Hold on a second. So we don't get that. EPI, or is it PMI? Let me look. Forex factory. Apply. 10th, we have FOMC. Oh yeah, there is no CPI data this month because that went the way of the dodo. So we may not get PMI or CPI this month. So the big announcement then is just exactly what we talked about. FOMC. That's what's coming out. That's the main thing. That's going to be the star of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Earnings coming up this week. We have AutoZone, Ferguson, Adobe, and Oracle on the 9th and 10th. And then on the 11th, we have AVGO, Broadcom, and Lululemon, and Costco. Now, if you want to, go ahead and screenshot this and type in done when you got it screenshotted. And just let me know that you got it screenshotted there. Just type in done. Awesome, Alton. Yes, I am recording. Perfect. Beautiful. And then we're going to take a brief look at the Batman stocks, as we now know. Now, I've seen, right, Tesla and another T with Taiwan Semiconductor. I've seen that as well. So, we can add that in as well. Just make sure you guys are aware of that. Now, let's go do a quick check in on some news here today for the week ahead and for the weeks to come. Let me just make sure. My password, non verification email, because why would they ever save anything in this world? Oh 79 642. All right, top stories. So, as you guys may or may not have known, Apple has faced a whole host of individuals leaving and coming from, their head of chips, their head of design, their head of retail. All these individuals are leaving Apple, and new blood is coming in. This may be a good thing. It may be a bad thing. We've seen some. Tim Cook is also considering potentially retiring as well. There's a succession plan there. So I think it will be a very interesting couple of weeks to end of year. Then Microsoft in talks to shift custom chip business to Broadcom from Marvell. So that would be interesting. Google Gemini has begun to outpace ChatGPT in terms of download growth, growth of MAUs, and growth of time spent. So what does that mean? That is, for those of you that don't know, that was FOMC, Jerry, FOMC. Never heard of Ferguson before. That's awesome. So the on Google Gemini has a couple of weeks ago on Wednesday, no, it was the last Wednesday in November, they leapfrogged all other large language models in the AI space. And then they continue to innovate and iterate and make this thing even better. And because more people are beginning to use it, it's learning so much faster than OpenAI is. And so we're at this really interesting inflection point with OpenAI. Now, here's where it's going to affect the market greatly is NVIDIA. We've already seen Meta already has left purchasing chips from NVIDIA and have gone to chips from Google. Well, that's going to benefit Google in two ways, both the cloud side, because their chips are tied into their cloud processing, but their chips are not NVIDIA chips. Their chips are something called TPU. That's Tango Papa Umbrella. Right? Tango Papa Umbrella. That's what that's called, TPU chips. And Google, by far and away, is one of the companies that should be on your radar, and we are going to definitely take a look at that. Netflix recently purchased HBO and Warner Brothers. And so what runs in my mind is, okay, are they going to incorporate all of that content into Netflix, or are they going to still run the HBO Max app and, you could get Netflix or Netflix with HBO, or what are they going to do with that? Time will tell. And I will also say this. I've seen it with Disney, even when they bought Lucasfilms. People thought they overpaid for Lucasfilms, and when they paid $4 billion to George Lucas for that, well, that has produced like 20 some billion dollars for them as a company. So I think they got a good return on that investment. But what happens, and what happened to Disney, is it tanked when that news was announced that they bought Lucasfilms. And then when they bought Marvel, that made the stock tank again. And then they've made billions off of that as well. So these acquisitions can be good. And I really like what Netflix has the potential to do with, getting back into the action superhero build character arc, which has been proven to make so much money. But we may be able to get a good discount on Netflix here, right? So we will take a look. Let's see. Netflix doesn't have movies in this century. Yes, they do. Dennis, yeah, they do. Netflix buying with stock exchange instead of all cash. I don't know how that was structured. I will have to look at that. That's a very good point, Sharon. Very, very good point. Let's see. And Whirlpool for India. There's a couple of good movies at Netflix. I will say this. You are right about that, Dennis. Is that they're not all good movies. All right, let me say that. They're not good movies. I mean, the last really, really unbelievable movie on Netflix, I think, The Irishman, was with the whole Jimmy Hoffa story and how that was told, was amazing. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. One of the best movies I've seen. But there's been some others since then. More job cuts announced. UBS now talking about 10,000 jobs. We are already at a insanely high joblessness that is happening in the US. 1.1 million more jobs lost this year than 2024. And we are looking at
a 54% increase month over month of joblessness. So we're seeing let's just lay out this scenario for you guys a little bit. I'm just gonna bring up any chart and just hide away here. So we have yeah, we'll just use this. So we have increase in joblessness or increase in job loss. We have a increase in inflation. We have an increase in in S&P. We have an increase in QQQ. We'll call it NASDAQ. We'll just go NASDAQ. Increase in Dow. Increase in gold. And increase in housing prices. Now, housing prices. Oh, and then increase in medical costs. So right now, we have, if look, if it was just this, and this, I'd say we'd be great. But when you add in this, and this, and this, we get into this extremely odd scenario where something is going to crack. Now, there's talks of quantitative easing. Okay. We just went through some significant quantitative tightening where the Fed got rid of things on their balance sheet. But the big scary part of this, right, is if we quantitative ease, we are effectively going to be buying our own debt. We are going to be effectively buying our own debt. Increase in millionaires per capita? Maybe. But Chris, here's one of the things that people forget, okay? If we have, and I'm not saying millionaires are ultra high net worth, but I guess by definition, they're not ultra, they're just high net worth. But they're in the top 1% for sure. But if you take the number of millionaires and billionaires, you have to have a disproportionate amount of people in the bottom 10% in order to have that top 1%. Like that's just, it's all going to balance out, right? And eventually something will happen that will create a liquidity event. Now, what are the liquidity events that could happen? One is a run on US debt, right? If the US is buying our own debt because we're going to quantitative ease and then buy our debt and then resell that debt, well, people aren't buying our debt because if interest rate, like, here's just a great example. Let me just ask you, okay? Would you buy, like, if I gave you the choice between a 3% return and a 5% return, what are you going to take all day? What are you going to take? Be honest, right? 5%. Everybody's going to take 5%. Not because you're greedy, because you're smart. All right. You're not taking 5% because you're greedy. You're taking 5% because you're smart. Well, so let me ask you, would you rather own US debt that's paying you 5% or own US debt that's paying you 3%? That makes sense. And so what we're seeing is China selling the most US debt that they've ever had. They went from over $1 trillion of holding over $1 trillion of US debt to now like it's under 700 billion. Japan selling US debt, Canada selling US debt, Europe selling US debt, South American countries selling US debt. There's not a lot of people are buying up US debt yet. I say yet because I think that what's going to happen is that resiliency, there'll be something that creates what's called a demand on liquidity. right? Or a liquidity event where people say, we need cash. So, in order for us to create the liquidity event, that means there's going to have to be a sell off of something. They take that cash and then they go use that cash for whatever may be, right? Those things happen and it's a big cycle and it's happened and it's happened and it's happened. There's a few things that I see on the horizon. One is definitely the US debt, you know, bubble. I won't call it a bubble, US debt reset. The other is, we've talked about this a couple of times, is the Japanese carry trade. Now, for years, right? For absolute years, you could borrow Japanese yen between 0 and 0.1%. And so what people would do, and by people, I also mean like the legal definitions of a person, which can be a business entity and all of that. Banks would do, organizations would do, massive wealthy individuals. They would go borrow a few billion to trillion dollars of yen, convert it to US dollars, then go invest that in real estate, gold, housing market, stock market, US debt, whatever. They wanted that money to be in the US because if they borrowed at 0 and they made 7 or 9 or 10 in the US stock market, well, they can just service the loan and still keep 9% for themselves in return and then continue that on. Well, what has happened is in Japan, JPY bond. Let's do, if we look, the bond yields for the Japanese yen, and let me just delete all, is sitting at one point we were at, oh, this needs to be a line chart. There we go. We're sitting at 1.949%. We were at 1.97% on Friday. Today, when the market opened, it was at 1.949%. Well, now you have a 2% borrowing cost. Well, if you borrow at 2% and your return is at 1%, and you have to pay fees in order to transfer the money from one to the other, does that make sense to do? Yes or no? As a business decision, absolutely not. Right? As a business decision, absolutely not. So we would sit in this, and this is that thing that not enough people are paying attention to. And I'll tell you why I know not enough people are paying attention to. Because you know the old saying that history doesn't repeat itself, but people do? Or some people say history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Well, it's history doesn't repeat itself, but people do. In 1999, going through 2006, the exact same thing was happening with the Thai baht. And Thailand was putting all of the, people would borrow in Thai baht and then they would convert it to USD and they would throw it in the banks and the banks would lend it out. And then they would buy mortgage backed securities and they were buying them like crazy. And then banks had to make more and more and more loans. And so they gave more favorable and favorable terms until we created the subprime mortgage crisis. Well, we're seeing similar things. The other thing that I've been seeing and have been tracking are auto loans, as many of you, right? Auto loans, as we've seen. Auto loans is a very, very, very important. I say it's an important thing because that loan, right? It's not like they can. I mean, you get the collateral of a car. So if somebody repos a car, do you think that car has the same amount of value as that loan? When they took that loan, that it was, a $20,000 overpriced vehicle because all of a sudden it just needed to jump up? Heck no. Absolutely not. That auto loan as more and more people are that auto loan, they can sell those cars and scrap those cars, but they're not going to get their money back for that loan. So, and that auto loan sits at the bank. And we're seeing that happen. Like banks are suffering. Some banks are suffering. Some banks are going through the roof. And it's all between the type of loan that they have, you know? So just keep your I'm not saying that this is happening today. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow. I'm saying that you need to be aware. Excuse me. Sorry. Bless me, as they say. That one snuck up on me. You got to be aware of what's happening, and the thing I always tell people is don't allow your opinions to muddy the waters of facts. Meaning, whether, and I'm going to say this again, I've said this in the last presentation. What I mean by this is, like, I don't care if you think that President Trump is the greatest president that has ever served in office, or you can't stand him. Right? I don't care either way what you think. But if we see certain things happening in the economy, and we see certain things that we're not being told, but we're going to research and we're finding out the raw facts and we're getting the raw data and we're interpreting it ourselves and we're using our own brains to look at it, or maybe ChatGPTs or Geminis, right? But we're interpreting that data ourselves, or through myself. Like, I don't really care about politics at the end of the day when it comes to money, because no politician is ever going to make you rich. Right? They may do certain things. They may set up certain things in a certain way. And it's my job to interpret what they do in order to make money. And that's the goal, right? This is, and when I say this, it's something I live. I mean, here is the fund that I co-founded. And this is our returns since 2014. And it doesn't even count today's, right? Or I guess it counts up until November. 27% in 2014. 2022, when the S&P was down 19%, we were up 19%. We beat it by 40%. 23, we made 40%. 24, 36%. This year, 32%. Right? We're up 264.59%. And in the same time, the S&P is up 146%. What my goal is to do is to take that information and bring it to you in a digestible format that you guys can use and help potentially make you money. All right. So we're going to go through some stocks and things here today. We're going to look at our normals as well. Oh, and here's how the yen carry trade unravels, just FYI. If you want to take a screenshot of that, right? Right, if you guys want to take a screenshot of that, do so and type in done. It's 27%, Thomas. Absolutely. Sorry, I didn't see the question earlier. All right, perfect. So let's get into some stocks. All right. So the first thing I want to do, we're going to go over our usual suspects, some of the ones that we're in, and then I know we're going to hit some of the Batman stocks, right? So we have AVGO, Apple, Amazon. We already got Amazon on there. Tesla, Meta, Netflix. I want to check NTLA. Yep, we're looking at NTLA, TSM, Bank of America, silver. You got it. That's one of my favorites. Copper. When you say zinc, do you want the miners or the metals, Dennis? Good. Oh, my screen's paused. Oh goodness, sorry. Any other stocks or anything that we want to look at? CDE, Boeing, you got it. Oh, I think I already had Boeing up there. Yeah, I got Boeing up there. GBP, JPY. Um, DNN, BAC, BAC, PAAS. I got that. QCOM, USD, JPY, GBP, JPY. All right. And if I have time, I will come back up here and we will look at a few others as well. Okay. Few others as well. So let's start. We'll start with pound yen. Well, the first thing I always do, as some of you know, I always like to take a look at where we at on a monthly chart. Like, are we at all-time highs? Are we at all-time lows? Are we at major levels of resistance, which is exactly where we are. We are double topping right here. All right. This is nearing a double top. If we look at a fib on this monthly chart, yes, we're still in a down fib. And let me do this really quickly. Use the magnet tool so I get to the very tippy top and the very bottom. Now, we are closing in on breaking that, but this would have it drop down to 175.059. That would mean yen strength, but which should happen with bonds, right? But what we're seeing is like liquidity. People are going to begin to sell their yen, give that money back to Japan. So that will increase the number of yen in the system. And then that would potentially create inflation. We'll see what happens there. But if we break this resistance, and it could potentially keep going up, right? It could get back up to here. That's something that we need to be paying attention to. Let's look at the USD JPY. USD JPY, we are making lower lows and lower highs. We did make a new high. Nope. Because this high here is 157.893, 158.874. So lower lows and lower highs, but we are also at the same time making equal lows. Well, that's a recipe for a big drop in a quick, fast, and in a hurry, right? And this leans itself to quantitative easing. Now, quantitative easing would create more money in the system, which would devalue the dollar, which would also create a ton more inflation. So, we get into a slippery slope if we get too much quantitative easing going on. Quite honestly, I hate to say this is going to sound really unpopular, but you got to go through a little pain in order to fix what ails you. And I don't think quantitative easing is the answer. I think a little bit more pain of higher rates, but higher rates too long could send everything else in a spiral. So I get it, right? I get it. So when we look at this is a downward wedge. If I also draw my fib on this monthly, looking at a blue, let's see, 158.819, 158.874. So we'd be looking at falling to 135.549 from where we are right now. And that's on a monthly chart. If we drop this down to a daily chart, and we start plotting our fibs from here. By the way, there is an auto fib tool for TradingView. I programmed it once and I never saved it. So I need to do that. I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback on the USD JPY before we see this thing, push down to 152, 146, somewhere in there. But I do see this gap still here on this daily, and that would tell me that, hey, 147, 819 is in the books. That's coming to a theater near you sometime. Now, let's get into some of our stocks. UNH. All right, UNH sitting at 330. Let me also add on. We did get a blue dot at 329. The market rallied up to 340. We pulled back to 330. We are getting a blue line crossing above a red line here, which is telling me that we may see our next buying opportunity. If we do get that, I'd be looking to enter at the next blue dot if you're not already in this. And again, I've been in this since like 277, and I've just been holding it. And I'm going to hold it until 580, 590, somewhere in there. I don't think UNH is going to go anywhere. All right. Take a look at Lululemon for those of you in here. Anybody in this trade right now? Yes or no? Anybody in this trade? Sharon sold it. I hope you sold it with some profit. Well, I got in at a great price at 170 something. We did get another blue dot at 169, 67. We're sitting at 190 right now. The low here was 197.67. So we have, and the high here was 191.85. So we got about $8 left before this gap closes. And then what we may see happen is another run up. And could it get back up to 320? Yes, absolutely. I think catalyst for this is around American Express. I think it's a well-run company. We've seen retail sales numbers a little higher than expected for a lot of major brands. So all of that kind of combined would yield itself to a good opportunity. The other thing that I like about this is it was what? 2020? April of 2020, when that was the period ending, reporting on June 11th, 2020. That was the last time that they missed earnings. Good companies at great prices. That's what we like to buy. Good companies at great prices. So if I can take this from my 170 up to 329, I'm happy, right? I'm happy. NTLA, anybody take this trade? I know I showed this a few weeks ago. Anybody take this trade? Yes or no? Nope. Just hit the blue dot. Gotcha. NTLA, again, for those that don't know, this is a lab company that is building, how to put it, building like treatments and permanent treatments to edit genes using CRISPR that will help solve some of the most incurable diseases. They were in third stage clinical trials for a cancer drug, and then they had to pull back off of their clinical trial because of an issue. When that issue happened, well, everything tanked, right? Everything tanked. Well, then I was like, okay, well, is it a good buy? And then my good friend Kathy Wood, she called me and said she was going to be buying. And then Larry Fink said, oh, we're dumping a bunch of money in there too. Vanguard called me up and said, hey, yep, we're going to get some as well. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, State Street Global. I mean, every major fund is buying this company. Well, at $9, when I bought it at $8 and some change, 860, it's a pretty darn good buy. For me, I'm just thinking, well, if it goes from 860 to 25, I'm all right. If it goes from 860 to 175, I'm gonna be doing better than all right. You know what I mean? William, not a problem, right? Not a problem. Just continue to hold, and that will work itself out. But we did get a blue dot a couple days ago at 9:02, and we could see this thing again rally at to $25 as well. Another company I want to actually bring up is MSTR. Your choice here. Okay, I'm going to give you guys two opportunities with MSTR. So there's MSTR itself, which is, look, this company is basically their stock price is based off the price of Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin goes, so will this stock. Well, we saw Bitcoin take a tank over the last, month and a half and come back to, it's sitting at 90,000 right now. Earlier today, it was at 89. But once Bitcoin rallies back up, this company will rally back up. It's sitting at $178 a share right now. And so it makes it an attractive company to just get some of this rally back. Even if, right, we take our fibs here and go there to there, and then there to there, here, down to there, that, down to there. Even if we just get back from 178 all the way to like 225 or higher, we know that's great money. Well, there's the other one that I actually recently purchased, which was MSTY. Right? MSTY. Full disclosure, I did buy this. I think I bought like either 100 or 50 shares as my first little dip my toe in the water. You do get dividends on this. This is why I like this. Okay. So you get dividends. The last dividend was 13 and a half cents per share. So not too bad. Monday, they're going to have a 1-for-5 split. So this will again shoot up. So it'll be what? 7 times 5, $35, let's call it. So you have a $35 share. So you could buy it at that 35 and then know that even if we get just back to 22 times 5, well, 20 times 5 is 100 to 110. So if it gets back from 35 to 110, you have a good opportunity. Not MSTR is splitting. MSTY is doing a reverse split. Okay. A reverse split. I think that's what that is. Let me just make sure here. Tilray did one recently. What did they do? Yeah, 1 for 10. Yep. So MSTY. So yeah, they're doing a reverse split. So this $7 stock will instantly become a $35 stock. Yeah, Dennis, sometimes that Lex Dixie kicks in and just beats me. Let's see. Can you buy money and get the split? I don't know. They'll probably halt trading sometime on Monday for MSTY. I don't think you will be able to, but after the split, if it just gets a run back up to even at this gap at $20, it's $100. 35 to 100 is a great move there. Is a great move there. And it gives you a good dividend as well. I like that dividend play as well. Let's check out Zoom ZM. Let's see. Jerry, not tonight. But yes, I will email you and we'll set a time. Okay. So Zoom, we had earnings come out. Look at that. It beat earnings again, just like I said it would. And what happened is we're up to 87.65. again, this is that company that I just think is going to just out of nowhere, we're going to see another big spike. Either A, some big acquisition happens, or B, they release some product that makes them a true, an even better Salesforce competitor, right? I could see that happening as well. Yeah, Dennis, yes. I don't want to say that, what you suggested, but yes, you are pan or plan, whichever they want to call it, right? Um, OKLO as well. This is another great opportunity. We talked about buying OKLO again down here in the 80s, and we're now sitting at 104. I see that if we plot fibs from our low to our high, fractal low to fractal high, we have a pullback down to 100, and we're looking at about 136 for this D extension, which would be our next opportunity on OKLO. Then SMR, very similar, just cheaper. SMR, you're looking at rally to 2730. PPTA, that's our one of our mining stocks. We had this buy. We talked about buying this back in mid-November. Actually, I talked about telling you to buy it at like 14, and then it shot up to 32, and now it's at 20, and I'm telling you it's gonna be going higher soon. Let's see. So that would be there. We're looking at this rallying to about $30.19 from $5 here. I absolutely could see that. Deborah's in that one. I love it. Let's do some of y'all's. Let's go silver. Want to try to get as many of y'all as we can. I'm gonna just do the SLV for silver. You can do the futures on it, whatever you want to trade, however you want to trade. Okay, so silver. Oh, I guess I should do silver futures. There we go. So here's silver futures. Thought I still had the chart, but I guess I don't. If we start at our low, there's that to there, there to here, here to there. 61,350 is my target on SI, which is silver futures. We talked about a little bit of a pullback at natural resistance and then maybe another swing up. We shall see on this, but 61,350, that's where my next major target is on silver. Look, silver is probably one of the best trades you can take. It's way less money than gold per ounce right now. You have a great opportunity. It's used in all electronic manufacturing. Little did y'all know that all this AI needs some electronics manufacturing, so they got to use a little bit of silver. It's not just good to, for forks and other things. It's good for many, many different conducting electricity. I'm a big proponent of silver. Copper as well. You can use HG, and no TV is needed there with that HG. We recovered this whipsaw of a move that we had back in July. That's all but recovered. We're sitting at $5.44 right now in copper. If we plot our fibs, not there. It's going there and there. There. $5.59 is where we are headed to that D extension. From there, we'll probably get another pullback back into like 525, and then We're going to be running into the sixes. Copper's, it's a conduit, it's wiring, it's all of that. Now, here's the thing, though. This is something you got to be aware of. Yes, there's a lot of copper used in electronics. However, they are using more fiber optic lines for AI. So fiber optic lines are a little bit more important than the copper lines. The electricity for those plants are going to be copper. So copper and zinc, yep, to process silver. That's very true, right? That's very true. Yeah, no pennies anymore. That's true. All right. So save them. There'll be something for that. My current target for silver SI, let me run back to that, is 61,350. Right. And if you're looking for the SLV, I'll do that as well for you. SLV. SLV, we are looking at 56.47. Now, here's the thing with SLV. We're at this natural level of resistance. I talked about this around $52 to $53. We would see probably some resistance. We did, right? We had bullish day, bearish day, bullish day, but we may get a little bit of resistance down into 48. I'll tell you, if it's at 48, I'm a buy all day. But this doesn't look like it's, there's some momentum and not momentum, but some market energy is stalling here. So just give yourself, hey, there's two ways to approach this, right? There's let me move my stop up, protect my profit, and then I'll rebuy in if it comes down to 48 or when it comes down to 48. Or there's the other way of like, hey, I'll just add a little bit more, right? Whichever you want to do. Okay. Whichever you want to do there. Let's see here. We'll look at Netflix, Meta, Tesla, and Boeing. We'll do those very quickly. So Boeing, we did get the buy on. We did see a pullback. We could fill this gap at 189 before we begin to rally up. Boeing has just got a mess on their hands. They just can't get right now. It's, that merger they had with, was it McDonnell Douglas? Was that the merger in the early 2000s? That merger, yes, right? Okay, good. Ralph, thank you. Yeah, sometimes it's amazing what your brain can remember when forced. And then here's one that'll stump you. You ever wonder, how like sometimes you think of something and then you can't remember? Where'd that thought go? If I can remember McDonnell Douglas, and I was not even, I was knee high to a grasshopper 25 years ago. Like how come I can't remember why I opened the fridge? Whatever happened to that? Right. So look, I think Boeing is one of those companies that every single country plays a part in manufacturing Boeing. So Boeing's not going anywhere. However, it's still going through some pains because of that private equity company and them trying to become more efficient, right? Private equity companies, their goal is to really push businesses that should have had processes that are stuck in for some time and strip out some of those things and make them more profitable. Well, that doesn't always work well. Right. So here's what I see happening for Boeing. Long term, 162.54. Right. Long term, 162.54 is there. Short term, I see a pullback to here, a rally up to 223. Then we begin our descent down to 162.54. That's what I see for Boeing. Okay. That's what I see for Boeing. Absolutely. Meta. Meta, this is one of those companies you just gotta buy. It's like deal with the ups, deal with the downs. If you own it, great. If you don't, buy the dip and be happy later. We can look at Nvidia. Nvidia is a very interesting company right now for sure. Those are major levels of support and resistance using a volume range that I manually mark. When I am trading on occasion, I use those. Let's see. We're just going to go here to here. I honestly see NVIDIA 158. I honestly think that NVIDIA, because of the loss to the TPU and then Amazon getting in the chip race and then Intel chips coming on board, we're creating a monster of competition. And because of circular financing, the if NVIDIA doesn't if people dump their chips, they have no reason to pay their bill. The chips were collateral. Here, take the chips back. We don't care. What are you going to do to us? Nothing. Nvidia could be in for a little bit of a tough time. Now, right? Nvidia. Oh, Jerry, I was joking. So Nvidia could have a tough time there, right? Palantir, yeah, absolutely. We'll take a look at that. So Nvidia, long term, I see 158.34. I think short term, we'll probably see another pullback up to like 195, 200. And because people are just going to wait and see like what's happening with their earnings, what's happening with this, what's happening with that. We'll hit PLTR, and then I do have to run Palantir. Still love it. I still think it's going to hit back to 202. It's going nowhere. The contracts they have with the government, building the social profiles on all American citizens. I know, again, about your feelings on it. I probably feel the same way you do. But I will say that they're going to continue to be profitable. Would I sell it if I had it? I do own it. I'm holding it. I think I'm selling half of my shares at 201. Oh, Nvidia? Probably half. Probably half of what I own. If I had 10 shares, I'd sell 5 and just hold 5. If I saw the 5 dip below us, I would also have some stop losses in place and some things in place to make sure that I'm shored up on my profit. When will Eli Lilly stop falling? Honestly, there's just so much competition there that they need to get that next drug out, and now, with the pills that they're talking about with weight loss, those didn't work in clinical trials. So it's like, well, why don't I just microdose GLP-1s if I need to lose weight? Inject my body with some lizard poison. That's always good. That should be good for the old brain, right? I think 200s, yes, Sharon. I do think NVIDIA will get back to the 200s for a brief stint, right? NVIDIA had this parabolic run up. So you're going to see some of this pullback happen. If we were to plot a fib on NVIDIA, there to there, there to there, and then here all the way, our D extension would be there. NVIDIA could slip down into the 940s. There is a gap, albeit a small gap, right here at this. The high of that candle was 932. So I could see another, down another 90, 70 to $80. It's at 1,010. So another $80 down in Eli Lilly before we see the next wave up. Absolutely could see that. Selling energy is still high and it's still moving down. So, yeah, somebody said LLY. Yeah, Daryl, I'm reading the chat and I'm talking to, and I'm doing chart analysis. Okay. So, Eli Lilly, I think, will eventually fill this gap down at 930 and then rally back, begin to rally up. QCOM, and then look, this has to be it because I got to go and I got to speak in like 2 minutes in another group, and I got to go log out, log in, and throw a hat on because I'm not gonna have time to go brush my hair. Let's see. So, let's see. QCOM here is GLP-1s, Jerry. If you look them up, they are derived from a lizard poison. That's what they are. So, but makes you skinny, right? So let's see. There is our current fib. We are swinging down. QCOM, I like. If could it get back to 205? Absolutely. 205 could be back in play on QCOM. Love it. So look, guys, I thank you all. I gotta run. I am running late, but I thank you all. I will see you guys next week and in a webinar this week. And guys, look, if you ever want to book time with me, I'll send this out to talk about your retirement, asset management, things like that, and not the trading side of things, but mainly retirement, asset management, what you should be in. If you want me to just do a review for you, I don't mind. I love doing this. It's either going to be with me or one of my team. Here's a link to it. That's the only one I'm going to send out. There it is. Click it, book time with me if you can, and I will see you guys in a webinar very soon this week. Thank you so much, and we will have this next week as well. Have a good one. Bye for now.